Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the Simply Lili Podcast. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Lili, and I'm so happy you're here. Around here, we have honest conversations about life, real faith, real growth, and all the beautiful, messy, unexpected seasons that make us who we are. So listen, grab your coffee, tea, or a little sippy drink, take a deep breath, settle in, and let's spend some time together. You know, as far as I went when I was preparing today's episode, I realized something that actually made me think. For years, everyone has talked to me about menopause. There's books, doctors, there's friends, there's Facebook posts, commercials. Now there's celebrities talking about it. Everyone seems to have an opinion about that. They talk about hormones, mood swings, hot flashes, night sweats, the weight gain, the gray hair, the wrinkles. And while some women experience many of those things, and those experiences are very real, not every woman talks about the exact thing on how they are experiencing in their path, in their journey. I remember thinking, am I supposed to be having all this? But honestly, that's not my story. I didn't have the dramatic hot flashes like everybody warned me about. And listen, when I started hitting my 50s, my early 50s, every time I would get hot, I used to be like, oh my God, am I having a hot flash? Or like, what's going on? But I've never gone through that. There were things that changed, of course, but my experience didn't look exactly like everyone else's. And there's something I want us to remember today. There isn't one right menopause story. That's something that I can say is truly not universal. Every woman's journey is different. But here's what surprised me the most. Nobody really prepared me for what came after. Nobody sat down with me and said, not even my mom, Lili, one day you're going to wake up and realize you're entering one of the most freeing seasons of your life. Nobody said you're going to stop worrying about things that used to keep you awake at night. Nobody says you're going to know yourself better than you ever had. And nobody says you're going to become comfortable in your own skin. Instead, the conversation always sounded like, well, you're getting older now. And if you're getting older, that's like something that you had to apologize for. I mean, can we just talk about that for a minute? Who decided that aging was bad? And I hear I've had it said to me, and I've seen people talk to other people like that. And it's like, well, we're getting old, girl. Yeah, we are. But we have to express that statement in a different way. And seriously, like, who held that meeting? Because when that memo was sent, I sure enough didn't get it. I didn't get that memo that said, hey, listen, get ready because this is what's going to happen when you turn 51. This is going to happen when you're 55. And believe it or not, by the time you're 57, you're still going to be feeling the same way, maybe even worse. But I mean, I certainly wasn't invited. Somewhere along the way, society quietly started handling women or handing women these invisible permission slips. Let's go back because this season of the Simply Lili podcast is actually about no permission slips. I mean, those invisible permission slips like dress your age, and another one that said, don't wear your hair like that anymore. Uh, another whispered, don't start anything new, slow down. You've had your time. Let the younger generation take over. Your best years are behind you. And before you even realize it, some of us accepted those permission slips without even questioning who wrote them. I mean, not me, not anymore, because I look at life today, at my life anyways, and I don't feel like I'm winding down. I actually feel like I'm finally waking up. It's my time. Regardless of the situations or things that are happening, personally within, let's say, family or children or work or whatever, it's my time because I've actually come to understand or realize, I should say, that some of those things I have no control over anymore. Like my children, they're grown, they're adults. If I'm here for them, and I will do anything for them, no matter what. But just like they're discovering themselves or they're doing what they want, I gave up so much of myself and I have no regrets. But now I'm at the point where, what are you going to do for yourself, Lil? You took care of everybody else all these years. So, honey, I'm woke. I'm woke. And can I tell you something else that I've learned? When I was younger, I thought beauty was about being noticed. Follow me. I wanted to fit in, and y'all know my background of being a teenage mom, a very young teenage mom, like 15. And I was in my transitional stage of going from a child or an adolescent teenager into becoming a mom, and my life changed forever. And I needed to fit in, but I knew I couldn't fit in because I wasn't trying to look like a hoochie mama and have a little baby on my hip. And I was trying to make myself appear to be like I had it together and be a mom, but yet I was a kid. So it's a different kind of beauty that I was trying to present. And I think about things now and I realize, man, I kind of kept it together back then because I never try to look like anybody else, if that makes any sense. But I did try to fit in because I've never been that teenager. I became a mom all of a sudden. But that's a whole different conversation. I mean, I wanted people to think that I looked pretty and look beyond having that baby on my hip and having that, you know, having that different lifestyle. And instead of walking with my pretty purse and my bag, I was walking with a stroller and a purse. I worried about whether my outfit matched and I looked okay so that that kind of distracted the good outfit, the nice outfit, my baby looking good, distracted the situation of, wow, she's young, but she still looks good. She got a baby, but she still looks good, you know. And I also worried about whether my hair looked right. Always had to make sure that that hair was laid. Whether someone approved, when someone, it's so conflicting when I think about things, how I used to think back then. I even would think of whether someone approved of me. Like, is she good enough or just, what is she thinking, you know? And we start these performances. But now, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy getting dressed and I still love fashion and I still love doing my makeup and I still love fixing my hair and I always will. That's one thing about me. But something has changed. I'm not doing it because I'm hoping someone else sees my worth. Did you hear that? I'm doing it because I enjoy expressing who I am. And with all the gifts that God has blessed me with, especially with my hands, I have the ability to create what I want with my vision. And I'll tell you, I've cut hair, I do nails, I've I sew my own clothes. That's what I have grown to appreciate now. Because before it used to be like, that's not it, that's too hard to make, or I can't make that. And little did I know, the art of sewing is making what you want out of your creation. And I'll tell you one thing. I I just feel that I felt like my confidence used to depend on compliments. And it just doesn't work. And now it just depends on peace. And peace is a whole lot more reliable than compliments. Can I get an amen? Because let me tell you something. Compliments fade, but peace stays. And let me go on. Have you ever noticed how often people talk about women after 50 as though we're fading in the background? I feel more visible to myself than I've ever been. I'm paying attention more to what matters. I'm protecting my peace. I'm more intentional with my time. Honey, I have no time to waste right now. If you want to sit here and trauma bond, I don't have time. Talk to me about something positive. Let's give each other positive energy because that's what we need to keep each other going. And I just feel like I don't have that time to waste anymore. Give me 5 minutes. That turns into 5 hours. And it's something where I'm not doing it. I'm learning to say no without explaining myself for 20 minutes afterward. Anybody else with that? Because I used to think saying no actually made me selfish. And excuse me. Now I understand that saying no to the wrong words actually allows me to say yes to the right things. That's wisdom. And you know what? Wisdom is beautiful. But you know what's funny? When I was in my 20s, I thought by the time I reached 60, I'd have everything figured out. I know exactly what I was doing. My life would have changed. You know how our parents would say, well, one day you'll figure it out. You know, I'd never question myself again. I'd have life all neatly organized. Well, here I am. I'm almost 60. And let me tell you something. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still discovering new things about myself. I'm still dreaming. I'm still setting goals. And I'm still laughing at my stupid, you know what, mistakes. Because listen, sometimes I do things and I'm like, what did you just do? And I literally say that to myself, Lillian, what did you just do? And honestly, I really hope that never changes because the day we stop growing is the day we stop believing that tomorrow can teach us something new. And I don't want to stop becoming. I want to keep evolving into the woman that God has been shaping me all along that I have not been paying attention to because I was not there. I was not there. Well, you know what time it is because we're all about the permission slips. So let's tear up another permission slip. Today's permission slip says you're too old to become something new. Huh. No, we're not carrying that into another week. Maybe you're 52, maybe you're 63, maybe you're 71, or maybe you're listening while wondering if it's too late to chase a dream or start a business and write a book or fall in love again or simply rediscover yourself. My answer is very simple. No, it isn't too late. As long as you're breathing, there is still purpose in your life. And that purpose doesn't come with an expiration date. Honey, and with that, I'm gonna throw y'all some scripture because I've seen this. I read it over and over again, and I've seen it and I love it. You know, this is a verse that has been staying very close to me lately, and it actually, yeah, I get flashbacks. I get a flashback of this scripture, and it is Isaiah 46 verse 4, and it says, "And even to your old age, I am He, and even to hoar hairs will I carry you. I have made and I will bear. Even I will carry and I will deliver you." Oh man, I love that. I mean, I love that it reminds us, even to your old age, I will carry you. I mean, that's comforting. Our culture tells us, you know, that we're becoming less, but God tells us we're still His. He hasn't forgotten us. He isn't finished with us. He carried us through childhood, motherhood, heartbreak, menopause, and He'll carry us into every new season that still has purpose. And you know what else? It also reminds us God does not leave us as we grow older. And let me tell you, gray hair is not a sign that our value has diminished. It's a reminder of God's faithfulness. He has carried us through every season of life and promises to continue to carry us. Our purpose doesn't end with youth, period. Because you know what I've learned? God is still writing my story, and I can prove it. I got the receipts because I'm here. So remember, this body still has a purpose. This season still has a purpose. And you still have a purpose, which leads me to this body. Let's just be honest. I don't bounce back from staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning like I used to. Those days are over. If I sleep wrong, my neck lets me know about it for about 3 days. And and don't even get me started on the restaurant menu, because why is the print getting smaller and smaller? Or are my eyes just getting, are my eyes just getting shorter? And you know exactly what I'm talking about, because getting older definitely has its moments. But can I tell you something? There are so many things that have actually gotten better since getting older. And nobody talks about those things. Nobody warned me that one day, I stopped trying so hard to impress people who weren't even thinking about me. Nobody told me I'd actually stop comparing myself to every woman who walked in the room. And nobody told me that I'd realize that I don't have to compete with another woman, because what's meant for me doesn't have my neighbor's name on it. You know what that is? That's freedom. That's real freedom. Yeah. I used to think caring less actually sounded negative. Now I realize it depends on what you stop me care less about. I care less about people's opinions. I was at a wedding, and my daughter's wedding, and I was talking to my cousins. And there was things that just were conversations. I was like, girl, I don't even care no more. I don't care no more about things like that. And we're all like that. We don't care no more. It's like, it is what it is. We don't care about certain things anymore. And it just, even saying it sounded freeing instead of just thinking it. And I could care less about trying to explain every decision I make. I don't have to do that. You're not gonna take my phone away. You're not gonna put me on timeout. You're not gonna ground me, or give me the silent treatment. I don't have to explain anything. I care less about fitting into spaces where I have to shrink myself just to be accepted. But I care more. I care more about my peace. I care more about my family. I care more about my faith, my health, more about protecting my joy. And sometimes we don't talk about joy all the time. We talk about peace and things like that. But you see, as we get older, we don't stop caring. We just become wiser about where we invest our hearts. And I've learned that I'm so careful, and I'm cautious now, and I think things thoroughly through. Like, does that deserve my attention? Does that deserve my heart? Like, can I really like wrap that around me and feel good about it? And I don't know about you, but I think that's one of the greatest gifts of this season. Now, let's talk about love. I mean, can we really talk about it? Because I know somebody listening has been waiting for me to bring this up. Like dating. Oh, yes. Let's go there. You know, when you're younger, dating feels like a race. You wonder, will I meet someone? Will they like me? Do I look okay? I mean, back in the day, we didn't text first, but now it's kind of like this is where we're at with things. Should I text first or should I wait? My goodness, it's exhausting just even thinking about it. Because something changes after you've lived a little life. At least it did for me. I am no longer looking for somebody to complete me. I'm already whole, period. Would companionship be wonderful? Absolutely. Would sharing life with someone be beautiful? Of course. But I no longer believe another person is responsible for my happiness. I honestly feel that. I've been doing well by myself for the last 3 years. And I honestly believe that another person is not responsible for my happiness. I mean, there's a saying that says, You could do bad all by yourself. Now, that's too much pressure to put on anyone. You see, because happiness starts here, and I'm pointing at my heart. Peace starts here. Confidence starts here. If someone comes into my life now, I don't know. I don't need them to rescue me. I don't need you to pick up my baggage and try to fix me because I'm not a project. I'm not looking for to fix anybody else either. I'm not looking for someone who knows, like they think they can figure me out. I'm looking for someone who knows who they are because I've worked hard to know who I am. And it may have come late in life, but I know who I am now. And I know my worth. I know who Lili is. I am simply Lili. That, that's a very different kind of love. Now, you know what's real funny? The things that impressed me when I was younger don't even impress me anymore. That little charm, that's nice, but consistency, now now you have my attention. Big promises, I've heard so many promises. I've heard those before. Show me your actions. I mean, flowers are pretty, but respect is even better. A fancy dinner, that's cool. But kindness for me lasts much longer. I want to see who you really are. I want to know, I want to feel who you really are. You know why? Because experience teaches you what really matters. And experience, experience, well, that's one of the gifts that comes with age. I've earned every gray hair, every laugh line, those 11s in between my eyebrows, every lesson. I don't want to go backwards because I'm not going that way. I can't change what happened before, before a long time ago. I can't change that. But now I like this version of me. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I like how I feel about myself. I like how I flow. I like how I walk. I like I like when I go to sleep good. Do I have issues and concerns? Or I shouldn't say issues. Do I have, things, personal things like I mentioned before? Absolutely. I'm human. I have no perfect family. We all have some type of dysfunction. It's not perfect. But like I said, I do not let that define me. I like this version of me. She's wiser. She's calmer. She trusts her instincts. I think 3 times before I do things now. Not because I'm unsure, just because I'm going to make sure. And when something doesn't feel right, you know what? She listens. You know, there's there's a myth that we become invisible as we get older, women. Now, let's bust another myth while we're together here. I mean, people say women become invisible after menopause. Really? Because I don't feel invisible. I actually feel intentional. Maybe we're not trying to get everyone's attention anymore, or maybe we're finally giving our attention to what matters. And there's a difference in that. I don't need every room to notice me. I just want to leave every room knowing I was myself. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I used to wear all these different hats. One for work, one for home, one for church, one for the kids' school, all these different hats. For what? I now know myself, and that's enough. Actually, that's more than enough. And can I share? I'm going to share something very honest from my heart. When I started the Simply Lili podcast, there was a little voice inside of me that whispered, "Who's going to listen? You're almost 60. There are young women doing podcasts. There are influencers with millions of followers. What makes you think your story matters?" I mean, have you ever heard that voice that you had? The one that quickly tries to talk you out of something before you even begun? But let me tell you something. I'm so glad I didn't listen because here's what I've discovered. People aren't looking for perfect. They're looking for real. And I can't say enough how I keep it real now. I don't need to perform for anyone. And can I get a little messy when I say things sometimes? Yeah, because I'm not perfect. And one thing about me, I can be very blunt, but I can be very blunt and kind at the same time. But the way that I communicate it is very different. And sometimes it comes out where I sound like, she thinks she's better than anybody. It's not that. I just don't need to do what you want me to do or say what you to hear. And I say that in a kind way because I really don't. Maybe back in the day, I'm just, trying to make peace, but not in the type of peace that we needed. And it's just different. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. And I'm not phony. I'm just going to keep it real. And that's why here on this podcast, I have real talk, real conversations, and real faith. So sometimes people actually look for someone who has cried and been, oh my gosh, we went through so much and you've been through so much. Girl, I don't live there no more. Start it over. I started over so many times. Question yourself. I trusted God. I've lost. I've loved. And still, I have the courage to say, I'm still here. That's who I want to be. Not perfect, just real. Maybe that's why you're here too. Maybe you're not looking for someone who has all the answers. Maybe you just want someone to remind you that life doesn't end after menopause. Sometimes it finally begins. Think about it. Well, I'm gonna do this. I want to tear up another permission slip. And that permission slip is no one will let me because I'm getting older. No. We're not believing that anymore because your worth has never been measured by your age. And it's certainly never been measured by whether someone chooses you. The truth about that is you've actually been chosen by God who created you. And when you truly believe that, you stop chasing people who can't see your value. Hallelujah. I said it. It took me up until now to realize that. You simply You simply keep becoming the woman that you were created to be. I haven't dated. Oh my God. It's 3 years. It might be like 3 years and a month. And I want to tell you something. I needed that. I needed that in order to know who I was, in order to know my worth, in order to know what I need to do next. And I am so grateful. When I tell you I've been by myself, I'm telling you I've been by myself. And I haven't had like the urge to want to date. And I haven't had, oh my God, I need to go out. Like I need somebody to take me to dinner or I just need somebody to hang out with. I haven't even had that because I'm still enjoying finding who I am. And I am loving that person. And not only that, I've had so much time to think and I had so much time to understand and I've had so much time to believe that time is what we sometimes need. And we need to be able to stand still, find that peace in order to move on. I'm getting mushy here. So you know what? You know what, everyone? We've talked about freedom, we've talked about confidence, and we've talked about love. But I want to talk about something that's become deeply personal to me, and that's purpose. And I think I said this in my one of my very first episodes. I was talking to my cousin dating, and she said, I was just so mixed up. I wasn't even mixed up. It was just so much happening, but a lot of it was happening and I had no control over it. And I have a problem when I don't have control over things. And then I remember she just said to me, cuz you need to find your purpose. And when she said that to me, and she is a woman of God, I was talking to my other cousin, Tina. We're all first cousins. And she said the same thing. So I know we got the same bloodline. She said, cuz you have got to find your purpose. When you find your purpose, it'll all start coming together. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know how to move forward. I've had such a busy life with one thing after the other. It's just never, I've just never taken the time to slow down. I've never taken the time to be by myself. I was always, you know, either married or in a relationship, but, or with children. I've been having kids since I was 15. And I've always had, I was never alone. And now it's, oh my God, I love it. It, it's a great feeling. It's a very, very great feeling. But one of the things that I honestly believe, and I'll say it again, is one of the biggest lies women are told after menopause is that they've already done the most important thing they'll ever do. And things change within us, physically, sexually, and sometimes that's it. She's done. Got to take what you can from her or get what you can from her. But I don't believe that for one second. In fact, I think some of the most meaningful chapters of our lives haven't even been written yet. And as I do this and I write things and I search things to put these episodes together, I'm actually taking chapters out of my life that I speak about because I know that in some kind of way, we all kind of go through the same things in life. And yes, some things change, but let me tell you, things get better. When I was younger, and I went to Catholic school, I thought purpose, because I didn't really know what it was. But now that I'm older, to me, I thought this is what purpose was. I thought purpose looked like having all the answers. You know everything. Getting second honors or first honors and being a good girl, but then being a naughty girl after school. I ain't gonna lie, I used to be something else. I thought purpose as an adult, I thought it was raising my children. It was like building a career with what I had and what I knew and what education I had. I thought it was paying the bills and like taking care of everybody else and making sure everybody around me was okay. Because I'll tell you something, that's one thing about me. I made sure everything was taken care of. I made sure everyone looked nice. I made sure there was always Christmas. I made sure there was always birthdays. I made sure my kids always looked good. Their hair was always done. I always made sure that my friends' kids' hair was done. And I made sure that they looked nice. And we used to swap clothes and we used to hand clothes down, but I always made sure that everyone around me was okay. And those things absolutely did matter, and they still do. But somewhere along the way, I did realize something. Purpose isn't something that you finish. Purpose is actually something that you keep discovering. And for years, I thought my purpose was tied to what I did. Now, I realize it's also about who I'm becoming. And you know what? That transition, that shift is beautiful. Because if purpose is only about accomplishments, then what happens when the kids grow up? What happens when you retire? What happens when the house gets quieter and when people don't need you the same way anymore? I mean, does the purpose disappear? I mean, absolutely not. It changes. And change isn't something to fear. Sometimes it's actually an invitation. And I want you to think about that because as I'm older, I just think about so many things like that. Like, where was I at? Not so much of the things that the mistakes that I've made. That's not what I'm saying. It's like kind of having had done things differently, or let me go because my mind is going, or having known better because we are creatures of habit and we are products of our environment. I believe that my purpose may have been different, but I'm going to get away from that because I want to move on because I'm on a roll. I mean, can we talk about something that surprised me? And that's silence. There becomes a season when your house isn't the same anymore. Your children are grown, or maybe your grandchildren, they left from like a nice visit, or everybody was at your house, and then all of a sudden everybody's gone and it's just quiet. Or maybe you've actually lost someone very, very special and someone who you've loved. Or maybe you're actually living alone for the first time in years. That silence can feel strange. And at first, I kept trying to fill every quiet moment. I would keep the television on. I would always have music in the background. I stayed busy, 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 busy. I mean, I still do things like that, but with a different purpose. Because if I stopped moving, I would have sat in my thoughts. And I had a lot of tragedy that happened that I didn't want to give myself time to think. I didn't want to give time to my thoughts. I mean, have you ever actually done that? Then one day, I made myself a drink. I didn't make myself a cup of coffee. I made myself a drink. And I sat down by my window and I didn't turn anything on. It was just me, the quiet. And I wanted to know, I wanted to know, like, God, I need to know what am I going to do now? Because it was so quiet. And then something amazing happened. I realized that the silence wasn't empty. That silence was peace. That silence was peaceful. And there's a difference. Sometimes we've lived in so much noise that peace is totally unfamiliar. But now you can't tell me nothing. I've learned to treasure those quiet mornings, not because I'm lonely, but because that's often where I hear my heart the clearest. And you know what's funny? I didn't create Simply Lily in my 20s or my 30s or my 40s. This dream, I manifested it. I manifested what I was doing because I was actually I was a guest on another podcast. And I tried to start doing this about 8 years ago. Or I should say maybe 7 years ago. And then, no, it was 8 years ago. And then the pandemic happened and everything just changed. And online streaming and doing all this stuff was getting really big. But I was already wanting to do this. And I knew why I wanted to do this. And that dream, I kept manifesting it. That vision, I should say, wasn't a dream. I kept manifesting so that it would take shape in this season of life. And I smile when I think about that because if I had listened to everybody else and to the world and all the haters, it might have been just too late for me to start a podcast, to build a brand, or I'm starting to write books, or too late just to share my story. And or maybe just too late to dream. And can you imagine if I had actually believed all those things? I would have missed out on something that has brought me so much joy and peace into my life. Not because Simply Lily is perfect. That's not what I'm saying. And not because everything has happened overnight. I have literally been very patient and it all happened the way it should and in God's timing. Because every time I sit behind this microphone, I get a little choked up. I remember something. That purpose doesn't retire. Sometimes it just simply it just simply changes clothes. Oh, that just came out. Thank you, Spirit. Maybe purpose isn't wearing the same outfit from 30 years ago. And maybe it has to grow with us. And maybe the purpose that we have, that I know I have, is wiser now. Maybe it's softer. Maybe it's stronger. Maybe it's finally become exactly what it was always meant to be. I know God did not give up on me. I knew that one day I would have my turn. I believe that. And menopause didn't mess that up. My children not being around and off on their own lives didn't mess that up. I just had to have that silence to know, to stand still and to listen when that silence came through. I'm getting mushy. So, can I speak directly to all the women that are listening today? Maybe you're driving home from work, or maybe you're folding your laundry, having a drink. Maybe you're having some coffee, or maybe you're sitting in your favorite chair wondering, so what is next for me? I've said that to myself. And I said, okay, I started the podcast. Now what am I going to do? And my daughter goes, Mom, one thing at a time. You have to, you got to come up with material for this. You have to come up and you got to know what you're talking about. And you need to make sense and you need to be consistent. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's right. Like, if I'm going to be doing weekly episodes and I have to come up with what I have to do and I have to make time for it. And I'm going to need that quietness in order to be able to think correctly so that I can come up with things. But, anyways, I want you to hear this. You are not finished. Your story is not over. And your dreams did not expire because you celebrated another birthday. And I got one coming up soon, 60 years old. Hallelujah. I'm grateful. Your value doesn't decrease because your body changed. Your wisdom has value, your experiences have value, your voice has value. And there's something in this world, there's actually someone in this world who needs what only you can offer. Sometimes we think sometimes we think purpose has to be something big, like starting a ministry or writing a best-selling book or building a huge business. Maybe. But sometimes purpose looks like encouraging a neighbor or mentoring a young woman. And I have mentors myself now. I have a wonderful sisterhood and a community of women on the move of my church. I love those women. And they're like sisters to me. And we keep it real. We keep it at 100. Or sometimes we need to just call someone who's struggling. And I'm very big now about being able to volunteer because that's giving back. Because when God blesses you with certain things, and you have to understand that you get and you have to give. And there's always room for learning something new, taking care of yourself, and finally saying yes to the dream you put on that shelf for like 20 years. I was going to do that, girl. When I was about 40, I was thinking about starting a podcast. Well, sweetheart, you're 49 now. Why didn't you do it? But you still can do it. Oh, I don't know. No more excuses. No more permission slips. Purpose isn't always loud because purpose sometimes whispers. I've been thinking about success a lot lately. When I was younger, success looked like accomplishing more and doing more and buying more and proving more. Now, no, not so much anymore. Success looks different. Success is waking up with peace, and success is protecting my health, and success is laughing with my family and getting my family together. Success is spending time with my grandchildren and keeping communication open with my grandchildren and my children. And success is knowing that I can lay my head down on my pillow at night with a grateful heart and not with a heavy heart. And sometimes success is becoming the woman that God called me to be. Success is trying not to fix things that aren't right, but facing them and then getting like that clarity from it. And then we're going to set the boundaries we need, but with love and hope that things eventually will work themselves out. I mean, not the woman the world expected me to become. I wish someone would have told me years ago, you don't have to spend your whole life chasing someone else's definition of success. And you don't always have to be trying to prove something to our elders just because that's what they expected of us also, because we are our own person. And I think there's a lot of freedom in that. And you also get to define what a meaningful life looks like for you. So let's tear up another permission slip. So I'm on a roll here. The season 4 is coming to an end in about another 2 episodes, and I wanna make sure that we have a clear understanding that we don't need to worry about these permission slips. And to the other this other permission slip is I've already done the most important thing that I'll ever do. I've already done the most important thing I'll ever do. Oh, we don't have that. No, we're not believing that anymore because your purpose didn't end when your children grew up. It didn't end when you retired. It didn't end when your hair turned gray. It didn't end because menopause came and went. As long as God keeps waking you up each morning, there's still something beautiful for you to do. And that, my friend, is we're celebrating. No complaining. We don't complain because we have purpose. See, I don't hear a God who's counting birthdays. I hear a father making a promise, and a promise that he doesn't walk away from us when we get older. And we have to remember that. And we have to celebrate that. There's, you know, it's something where we have to learn how to sustain ourselves. And I think sometimes we spend so much time grieving that we've lost, or I should say, we forget to celebrate what we've gained. I've gained perspective. I've gained patience. I've gained discernment. I've gained confidence that doesn't disappear when someone doesn't compliment me. I've gained the ability to walk away from things that steal my peace. I just shrug it right off my shoulders. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm just saying it where you're not going to steal my peace. I've gained the courage to say no, thank you. And I don't owe anyone those explanations, but we move on. So I just want you to understand we have that purpose. Menopause plays such a huge transition in our life because it does change us in many ways. But where we're at now, you know, we shouldn't even have to be bothered with feeling some kind of way where we just feel that we're just going to settle. So I don't want to end by talking about getting older. I want to end by talking about a legacy that we're still creating. And as I mentioned earlier, I was on the episode of the Attitude Lounge, which y'all should check it out because she's really good. Her name is I went to school with her. We grew up together. Her name is Adi, and I was honored to be on her podcast. But one thing that I did talk about was actually um, doing all this and a legacy for my children and my grandchildren that I wanted to break cycles, and I did that. And how can I put this? Because I think women are told that after a certain age, they become like keepers of memories. And I disagree with that. I don't, I think that they become creators of legacy. See, there's a difference. The older I get, the less I think about how many years I've lived. And the more I think about what I'm actually leaving behind. Because if I was to go home to glory today, I'm tell you right now, I would hope that my children knew that I tried my best, I did my best, and my accomplishments, which then turned into them being proud of me as their mother. Was I a perfect mom? No, but I did the best I could. But I wanted to leave a legacy, which then goes on to a legacy for my grandchildren. And the more I think about what I'm leaving behind, and I'm not talking about money, not things, not even accomplishments. I'm just talking about something deeper. Legacy. When I was younger, legacy sounded like such a big word. It sounded something like famous people talked about. People who wrote books or started organizations or people who changed the world. But I've changed my mind, and I think legacy is much simpler than that. Legacy is what people remember because they experienced you. When my grandchildren think about me someday, I hope they remember more than me cooking and my craziness. I hope they remember how safe they felt when they were with me. I hope they remember laughing. I hope they remember that, I used to pray and I used to go to church all the time. I hope they remember that they could tell me anything. And I hope they remember that I did show up because that's legacy. When my children tell stories about me, I know I know that they won't remember every birthday present. They they probably won't even remember every meal, but I hope they remember that I kept going. That when life knocked me down, I got back up. And there's something about our children where they have no idea what we ever go through, but we keep going. Not because I was strong all by myself, but because God kept picking me up. And that woman I used to look at in the mirror every day, I was like, girl, get yourself together. Get yourself together. What are you doing? Again and again and again. Sometimes people ask me why I started this podcast and why did I start Simply Lili? And why now? Why at almost 60? And I smile because the answer is really simple. I finally stopped asking myself, am I too old? And started asking, why not me? Why not now? Why not this chapter? Why not believe that God still has something for me to do? And I have now broadened my horizons and my faith is stronger. And I have moved on to create a brand for Simply Lili with no permission slips. I've researched and watched tons of videos on how to start a business and looked up literature from my state and the requirements. And I'm on my way. I'm learning because I want to leave that legacy behind. I want to fulfill my purpose. I want to keep learning and I want to keep growing. There's one thing that my father said, and I will never forget this as long as I live. I said, Dad, I said, you're already retired. Like my dad's 87, 88. And he says, he's had his own business forever. I'm 59 and my father has had his own business since I was 4 years old. And he said to me, one thing you should always remember, when you stop working, your spirit dies. And my father used to work to live. Now my father lives to work. And he loves it. His mind is sharp and he says he has a purpose why he gets up in the morning. And if that isn't wisdom, I don't know what is. So remember, you don't need a permission slip to start something new because age is not part of the equation. So, my beautiful friends, you know what time it is. It's time for me to say that I am so grateful that you were here today. I'm so grateful that you listen. And this is one of these podcasts that I'll tell you one thing, I can go on and on. But if this conversation encouraged you in any kind of way, I really hope that you share it with another woman who needs a reminder that life doesn't stop after menopause, that it just simply changes the seasons. Okay? Follow me on all the platforms. Like, share, subscribe. And you know what? Leave comments because I do read them. A lot of people like to inbox me. It's like, y'all can put it on public. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. If anyone has told you this lately, actually, if no one has told you this lately, I'm so glad you're still here because the world still needs the woman you're becoming. Until the next episode, please take care of yourself. Keep growing and keep believing. And whenever life hands you another permission slip that tells you you're too old, too late, or not enough, listen, you already know what to do. Tear it up. I'm Lili, and this has been the Simply Lili Podcast. I'll meet with you here again next week. Goodbye and God bless.